Welcome once again to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. How is everybody doing on this Monday? What a fantastic weekend of sports. Every Monday and Wednesday night, 5 o'clock p.m., you get this show on Facebook and on YouTube. You can also listen to an audio-only version of the show on Fridays. I had a special show on Friday because I had a special guest, and I had WMAZ lead sports anchor Sammy Costas. And Friday's show was absolutely fun. It was a great show talking about high school football, all the high school football scores and preview for week one, and talked a little Macon football with Sammy. And it was just a great show. And I appreciated Gabe Reynolds that came on the show last week as he was just talking about everything that's going on in the NFL, the NBA. Such a great guest I've had on for many years. And then I got another guest that's going to be on the show on Wednesday. It is BTV Sports anchor Kevin Eckelberry, as all the teams up in Troup County had a fantastic week. I'm going to talk about it all here on the Sports Beat, to include Phenix City Little League. They get the job done. They beat California 12-2, and they will play in a couple hours against Westchester, Pennsylvania. I have my thoughts on that. All is well with the world. The Falcons finally win a preseason game. I'm going to talk about that game, and have they found their new quarterback? Also, I have a special segment called Time to Throw in the Towel. If there's a blowout out there, I want to just highlight it. And I know it's painful, but we got to go through it. I went through this when my 49ers lost to the Seahawks 41-6. I'll never forget that. Sometimes blowouts just sting because you didn't see it coming. It's like, where did that come from? And then I have another special segment. You know, I've had some features on here like sports movie review, this date in sports history. I like the segment I have, A Moment in Time, The Vault. I'm going to feature probably the most hyped team in NFL history that just couldn't get the job done on the field. I'm talking about the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles. I break down what went wrong that season. I'm at a loss for words. I thought this team was going to win the Super Bowl. Anyway, let's go ahead, dive right in the show. Let's not waste any time. This story is a national story, and I am privileged that I get to talk about it here on the Sports Beat. I also talked about it on the Sports Vision's radio show. I also talked about it on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Phenix City Little League, and I know that all the hype has gone to Kinley Rasmus, and rightfully so. She is a superstar, just a sensation on the mound. Almost hit another home run over the fence. She went 2 for 2 with a walk, but this is a team effort. Guys like Cam Lee hitting the ball over the fence. You've got Riker Rasmus just stretching it out at first base. He's also a great pitcher. Uri Burklight pitched a phenomenal game against Clearwater Little League out of Bonita, California. And the Phenix City Little League team beats California 12-2 in the elimination bracket, where they will face Westchester, Pennsylvania later today. And you know what? I counted it up. Kinley Rasmus has 4 days rest. She should get the start today. There's opportunity. Coach Rasmus could pitch Riker Rasmus in this game and save Kinley for tomorrow. It's just the matchups, and I'm interested to see what the matchups are going to be. This team looked fantastic, 12-2. They took advantage of some errors in the field by California. But you have guys at the top of the lineup like Easton Allen, Brooks Cameron. You have amazing players like C.J. Harrison. Cam Lee was fantastic. He hit a home run over the fence. I tell you, I'm fascinated by this team, but you will hear the name Kinley Rasmus for years to come, because after her Little League career is over, she is going to be a star on the flag football field for the Central Lady Red Devils and a star on the softball diamond for Central. And she's only a 7th grader. And I am so excited that I get to cover her in any capacity, because you never know what will happen in the future. But I am privileged that I get to be a member of the media, and I've already interviewed her, and that's the most views I've ever gotten in my broadcasting career. I mean, this is taken off like wildfire. This is a national story. The New York Times, the Washington Post, they have been featuring Kinley Rasmus, and we just appreciate what she has done really for this community, really bringing this community together. And it goes back to her family history. Her dad Corey Rasmus was a pitcher for the Angels and the Braves. Her uncle, Colby Rasmus, was an all-star 10-year veteran in Major League Baseball for the Astros, Blue Jays, Cardinals. And her grandfather, Tony Rasmus, longtime coach. He was part of that 1999 Little League coach that won the American League World Series, that lost in the championship. And then he led that Russell County team to a state championship in 2005. And then recently won back-to-back state championships for Lakeside School in the AISA. Such a great family. There's four brothers. There's another brother, I forgot his name, but Case Rasmus. I got to know him when he was the coach at Pacelli, and we've interviewed him a couple of times on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, the Sports Visitors Morning Show. He's done a fantastic job with Phenix City Little League, and I'm rooting for him tonight. I'll probably be at a watch party somewhere watching this game like I've been the last couple of games, and whoever gets the nod at the starting position on the mound, whether it's Kenley Rasmus or Riker Rasmus, I think they're going to do well, and this has really been fun to cover Phenix City Little League. All right, let's talk about high school football. We're gonna do Georgia. So every Monday I'm gonna do the Georgia teams. On Wednesdays I do Alabama. I want to break this up. I mean, there were some fantastic Alabama games that we could start out with, but I will save that for Wednesday because I don't want to cram it all into one show. And I will have a segment, throw in the towel segment, where I talk about one of the blowouts. But it doesn't have to be high school football. It could be a blowout in anything. But this one, I've chosen high school football. So let's start with the 5 games that we did on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. First of all, a great Friday night. I know I talked about being at Garrett Harrison Stadium for the very first time on Thursday. I did that on Friday's show. It was an incredible atmosphere. I'll save that segment for Wednesday because that's Alabama High School. And we also did Russell County, Booker T. Washington, Smith Station, Northside. But let's talk about the 3 games we did in Georgia. I was at Casita to produce, and I couldn't help myself. I joined the broadcast along with Matt Milton and Andrew Rubin for Chaco and Terrell County. Chaco ends up getting the win. 2 interceptions by Bam Purnell. Caleb Fleming had a touchdown run and a big play on defense. And it was a great atmosphere down in Casita, Georgia. Chattahoochee County had a bunch of fans that came out, and I know that they appreciated that we got to live stream a Chaco football game for the first time in history. And I had a lot of fun. And of course, I produced. Cam Lindsay did the camera work. A great job there. And what I did was when I got up there, obviously Matt and Andrew were calling this game, which is fine. I said, hey, guys, let's test out my mixer. I want to see if a third microphone works. Because I think it would be very unique if we had a 3-man broadcast team. And it worked. We all sounded great. And I said, if they were okay with it, I said, let's go. Let's do this. And so periodically, I would chime in with some random facts about Chaco. I tried not to go too into depth of being like a color analyst for Matt because that was Andrew's job. I just wanted to chime in every now and then. We had fun. It was great that the 4 of us never worked together and we pulled off a fantastic broadcast. And it's something I'm proud of. This was a broadcast that I truly was proud of, and it was a great night on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. 5 broadcasts, and we did it. It was just a fantastic night. It wasn't a fantastic night for Pacelli. They ended up falling to Stratford Academy. Tough loss as they had a lot of momentum going into this game after beating FPD 22-21. But it was just a tough night for the Pacelli Vikings, who end up falling to Stratford Academy 46-14. It was a tough night for Brookstone. Brookstone, as they were playing Spencer, this was private school versus public school, and Spencer ends up getting the road victory at Max Strong Stadium, 28-11. Elijah Fudge looked fantastic. Monique Gaither was running the football with a purpose. Jordan Hudson, he's doing his thing at the receiver position. Spencer's got a lot of momentum going into the Heritage Bowl, which I'm privilege that I get to be a part of as the sideline reporter, as Thrift Barringer and DJ Jones will be on the call for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. This is our game of the week. High School Game Day is going to be there. It's the Heritage Bowl. It doesn't get any bigger than this in Columbus. This is the biggest rivalry in Columbus, and there's so much pageantry and tailgating at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at A.J. McClung Memorial Stadium, and I am so excited that I get to be a part of it. Meanwhile, the Carver Tigers, I don't know what happened, but they ended up losing to Douglas of Atlanta up at Lakewood Stadium 28-7. Carver outgained Douglas 234 yards to 207 yards. Jamar Williams, one bright spot. He did have a kickoff return for a touchdown. I knew Carver was going to struggle this year records-wise because they play a tough schedule. And I hope that they're able to bounce back, learn from this loss. Douglas of Atlanta is a very talented team. You look at the 4A classification, and they are ranked number 7 according to this poll that I have for the AJC. They had Jaleel Roquer went 13 for 15 for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. And there was a guy by the name of Zaylon Green who had an 84-yard punt return that gave Douglas of Atlanta the 20-0 lead. And this was the first time that Douglas ever won a game between a number 1 ranked team since 1995, and it snapped Carver's 27-game win streak. Back in around town, we had Columbus ended up beating Jordan 44-0. Jordan will be taking on Central Jamaica next week. Columbus will be traveling to Buena Vista to take on Marion County. Marion County ended up falling to Hawkinsville, so they're 0-1. Trying to get back off the mat. How about the Shaw Raiders? The Shaw Raiders earlier in the afternoon up at Lakewood Stadium played Booker T. Washington, and they beat them 14-0. A great win for Coach Johnny Garner and the Shaw Raiders, and they've got their opener at Kinnett Stadium next Thursday night against Upson Lee. Cannot wait for this. Kinnett Stadium's had some renovations. Oh, it's going to be exciting. And of course, we got you covered on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I love it. Let's move on with some other games. Hey, LaGrange, man, they took it to Noonan. Noonan's a 6A school. I don't know if you knew that. LaGrange took it to Noonan. I cannot wait to talk about this game with Kevin Eckleberry. Peyton Davis, 95 yards and a touchdown on 18 carries. DeAnthony Stewart rushed for 55 yards and a touchdown on 6 carries and caught a 59-yard touchdown pass. LaGrange is the real deal. It's going to boast for an incredible matchup against Troup County next Friday. Troup County had no problem beating Hampton 40-0. And Javarius Warner rushed, get this, 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? I tell you, the football up in Troup County has been incredible. And let's not forget about Callaway. Callaway's in 3A, and Callaway ended up beating Mount Zion 22-12. And Christian Kennedy rushed for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. And A.J. Williams had 82 yards passing and 24 yards rushing. And Callaway, they will take on the 4-time single-A GHSA champions, the Bowden Red Devils. Wow. That's going to be an incredible game. Man, shout out to Hometown Sports Media over there that gets to call that game. I know that they do a lot of great work up in Bowden. And Bowden, the big question with Bowden is, are they going to 5-peat? If that's even a word. 5 straight. They've won 4 straight. They got a new coach there. They've already lost. So we'll see what Bowden does. But, man, I'm going through the entire list of teams. You know, Harris County got a big win over Manchester, 28-0. This was played on Saturday afternoon because of the inclement weather. Inclement weather has postponed games like Central Talbotton and Cross Keys. That game got postponed. I don't know if they are going to play that game. How about Northside? Northside gets a win over Smith Station, 29-6, and they are 1-0 as they go into 6A. They take on Stars Mill next week. That is going to be a game where I think that Northside could win that game, and they can go to 2-0. But it wasn't so great for the Kendrick Cherokees. They ended up losing a game to Miller County. This game was 51-0 at the half. Miller County ended up winning 51-8, and unfortunately, that is going to be my segment. Time to throw in the towel. Oh boy, Kendrick! I had so much high hopes for Kendrick. 6-4, I predicted. Miller County is a single A school that went 3-7 last year. I don't know what happened. I don't know what type of team just showed up. That is not the Kendrick that I know. 51-0 at the half. You have a running clock. Luckily, you did score a touchdown, but it was probably against Miller County's reserves. This is just shocking to me. I'm hoping that Kendrick can find a way to bounce back because they face Hardaway next Thursday night on a short week at Otis Spencer Stadium. But yeah, this is a segment that is very painful, but I have a segment called Time to Throw in the Towel. Anytime there's a blowout in high school, college, NFL, this was the one that I picked because it was the most shocking. I seriously thought Kendrick was going to make this competitive or even win the game. But I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, back to high school football. Just around the state, my goodness. Grayson 0-2? That is shocking to see a state championship contender, one of the top teams in the nation, 0-2. You don't see that often. They lose to Sandy Creek, a good Sandy Creek team, 21-13. But after losing to North Gwinnett in the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic, and then they lose to Sandy Creek, it doesn't get any easier because they face, guess who? Langston Hughes next week, and then Buford is down the road. So that could easily be 4 losses for Grayson. I tell you what, Sandy Creek outgained Grayson, 291 yards to 247. Caleb Hill was fantastic. Dual threat quarterback, 140 yards and 100 yards rushing. And freshman Brendan Williams had 5 receptions for 83 yards. Sandy Creek will end up taking on Douglas County. That's another one of those 7A schools that is a powerhouse. Some of the other games, Benedictine ended up losing to Toombs County. You know, Benedictine has always been a powerhouse. Toombs County might be the state championship contender in 3A. There's no question about that. Jefferson ended up losing to Calhoun, 21-19. How about Warner Robins beating Veterans 34-23? Lithonia ends up beating Martin Luther King 37-8. North Oconee beat Oconee County, the Battle of the Oconees. We got Blessed Trinity. If you don't know about Blessed Trinity, they smacked Decatur, and they've got so much talent there. MJ Kraft, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. They are the real deal, and they play Milton next week. That's going to be a massive game. See, I'm invested in Georgia high school football. I love it. Marist ended up beating Woodward Academy in a defensive battle, 10-3. We've got Cartersville, those Golden Hurricanes. They all over Hiram, 48-0. And Maddox Davis, one of the top receivers in the state of Georgia, 4 receptions, 93 yards, and a touchdown. Coffee ended up beating Parkview, 49-14. We had North Forsyth. They lost to Jackson County, 34-22. How about Hoco? The Hoco Bears in the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. I've invested interest because it's a Middle Georgia Sports Live school, and once upon a time, I applied for the play-by-play announcer position at Houston County. They beat West Forsyth 38-14. Austin Stinson rushed for 311 yards. Good night. Gainesville. Remember, Gainesville's got a new coach. The new Grayson coach is now at Gainesville. They lost to Buford 39-19, and you know everybody's losing to Buford nowadays. Gainesville's actually going to go play a team from St. Louis. I love how these teams in Georgia are just playing teams across the country. Lee County. Jaden Upshaw might be the best receiver in the entire state of Georgia. They were all over Hapeville Charter, 51-0. Remember, Hapeville Charter played in the AA championship last year and lost to Carver. They got the brakes beaten off of them. Langston Hughes ended up beating North Atlanta 56-7. Guess who's coming to town on September the 4th? It's Grayson. Langston Hughes, a lot of momentum. How about this game? It was on ESPN2. Creekside lost to Clay Chalkville 29-20 in a very good game. And I'm excited anytime we have Alabama and Georgia teams faced off against each other, and it's on ESPN. Sign me up for that. Milton ended up beating North Cobb 30-29. Shout out to my guys up in Ackworth. Thomas County Central beat Colquitt County 57-21. I don't think anybody is stopping Thomas County Central. They looked fantastic. I think that they're the clear-cut favorite to win 6A. Aiden McPherson, he rushed for 152 yards and 5 touchdowns. Good night. Harrison ended up beating Altoona 42-7. We had Lowndes beat Jenkins 31-6. Douglas County ended up losing to Newton. And we had Valdosta beating Jones County 52-14. It was McEachern over Kell 40-10. And I know that Carrollton, let's talk about Carrollton beating Rome 55-7 because Zach Watts, yeah, he's the real deal. The former Carver Tiger rushed for 101 yards and 3 touchdowns, and then he caught an 11-yard touchdown pass. So 4 touchdowns for Zach Watts, who is only a sophomore. That quarterback they have at Carrollton, C.J. Cipher, was 21 for 27, 269 yards and 4 touchdowns. Carrollton's the real deal. They should be the favorites to win the 7A state championship. They got Joey King. He is the highest paid coach in the entire state. You talk about the pressure to win a state championship. They came so close last year, losing to Buford. This has got to be Carrollton's year. When you are the highest paid coach in the entire state of Georgia, fans, boosters, alumni, they want that return on investment. I think Carrollton has got the team to do it. They take on Columbia next week. That should be a win for Carrollton. And finally, Buford ended up beating Gainesville 39-19. What a game. And they will take on a team from North Carolina on September the 4th, Mallard Creek. All right, so those are the higher classifications. Let's talk about some of the lower classifications. We're going to start with single A because we got Hawkinsville. They had no problem over Marion County, 25-6. Irwin County ended up beating Wilcox County. Treon beat Gordon Lee 36-7. Emmanuel County Institute beat Metter 26-7. Bowden lost to Bremen. I talked about this game. Bowden has to play Callaway next week. Johnson County ended up beating East Lawrence 32-15. It was Wheeler County beating Portal 40-7. Clinch County, one of the top teams in single A, lost to the Purple Hurricane of Fitzgerald, who's a 2A school. And then Lincoln County beat Grovetown 14-7. 2A classification. Right now, the best team in 2A is that team out of Franklin, just north of Troup County. Heard County, they ended up beating Central of Carrollton 50-28 as Heard County led 28-0 at the half. And we also had Dublin ended up beating Jasper County 32-0. Blakely County over West Lawrence 28-3. Cook ended up beating Swainsboro 36-35. And then we had Rabun County has not played yet. They play Metter next week. Dodge County will play Lamar County next week. Thomasville. You know, it's not just Thomas County Central that can play football down in Thomas County. Thomasville, but unfortunately they did lose to Cairo. This is a region game between, remember, Thomasville. It actually is not a region game. Thomasville is in 2A. Cairo is in 4A. But they did lose to Cairo, and they will play another 4A school, Bainbridge, next week. Pepperell beat Dade County 21-14. Let's swing it over to private real quick. Calvary Day ends up beating Glenn Academy 49-22. Hebron Christian beat Carver of Atlanta in the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic 43-16. Greater Atlanta Christian, they ended up beating North Hall. Quick trivia, who was the number one recruit that was part of Greater Atlanta Christian that went on to Stanford? Yes, that was 10 years ago? Davis Mills. I don't know if you knew that. Prince Avenue Christian, they beat Thompson 30-21. Savannah Christian over Athens Academy 35-13. Aquinas beat Glasscock County 37-12. See, I love Georgia high school football. I love getting all these score updates. Holy Innocents Episcopal over Pace Academy 44-7. Whitfield Academy, they beat Wesleyan 42-35. Fellowship Christian over Trinity Christian 26-20. And then Lovett, that private school in Atlanta, they beat Westminster 31-12. All right, we talked about 2A, private. Let's go to 3A. Toombs County upset Benedictine 58-21. Worth County, remember they're in Carver's region now. They beat Brooks County 49-35. Burke County over Greenbrier 30-14. Pierce County, oh boy, I'm gonna have to do this segment again. Pierce County beat Coosa Christian 55-0. Yes, that Coosa Christian that won the 2A state title championship in Alabama last year with legendary coach Rush Probst. Well, guess what? Coach Probst is not coaching Coosa Christian this year. You talk about how coaching matters. Pierce County's really good. This is a bonus time to throw in the towel. I did not expect this. I thought that Coosa Christian was going to give them a game. Pierce County's really good, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there. A bonus time to throw in the towel. How about that? All right. Appling County is going to take on New Hampstead. They have not played a game yet. Northeast. This was in the Gridiron Classic. 39-0. Jordan Wiggins, 20-29 for 232 yards and 3 touchdowns. Rushed for 50 yards. We talked about the Gridiron Classic last Friday with WMAZ sports reporter Sammy Costas. It was great that we were able to be a part of it. Middle Georgia Sports Live was on the call. Marvin James, Thrift Behringer, Braden Holder, they did a fantastic job on the broadcast. And I'm glad I was able to watch that. That was really fun, even though it was a blowout. But Northeast is one of those teams in Macon that feels that they can win a state championship. They're one of the top teams in 3A. Callaway, I talked about them. Morgan County, they beat Madison County 28-13. Rockmart ended up losing to Dalton 35-21. Sumter County ended up losing to Dutchtown. That was a big upset. Just going through, let's see. We covered 3A. Let's talk 4A. Mary Persons ended up beating Jackson 52-31. North Hall, they lost to Greater Atlanta Christian last week. Monroe area, they beat Walnut Grove 42-10. And Calhoun ended up beating Jefferson. How about this beatdown? Peach County over Perry 63-24. This was the GPB digital game of the week. This was a game I was jokingly talking to the Middle Georgia Sports Live guys. I was like, man, how awesome would that be if we stream this one? But GPB actually beat us to the punch. All right. Stevenson defeated Southwest DeKalb 29-7. And we talked about the top teams in 4A, Sandy Creek, Cairo. They all got wins. Oh, man. High school football is back. I know it was a long segment. Let's go ahead and take a break. Let's pay some bills. When we come back, the Atlanta Falcons is all well with the world. They won a preseason game. Do they have a new starting quarterback? You don't want to go anywhere. It's a Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Back after this. We are back here on the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok. New episodes every Monday and Wednesday night, 5 o'clock. I got you covered with the latest sports from in and around the area. I got some huge news to drop. Hopefully, I have some exciting news on Friday. It's a job interview. I'm not going to tease it completely, but I have a job interview that might change the course of my broadcasting career. And it is an opportunity that I've been hoping for my entire life when I left college back in 2006. And I just need good vibes, prayers, wherever you want to do. I feel like it could be a game changer. And so I am excited about that. But I can't say anything just yet. So I'm just going to keep everybody in suspense. Just what I love doing. Hey, how about the Hardaway Hawks? I'm representing the state champion Hardaway Hawks. I got this shirt for the championship celebration for the basketball team 2 years ago, led by Coach Kelly Ellison. But Hardaway looked pretty good offensively on Thursday night, against Randolph Clay. They're taking on Kendrick this Friday, but this Thursday, College Drive is rocking. The Hardaway Hawks, just wanted to give them a shout out. All right, the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, they won. You see the headline right there. They won. They ended up beating the Indianapolis Colts, and Jack Strand, he looked fantastic. 12 of 17, 212 yards and a touchdown. Did he win the starting job? Did he do enough to convince Kevin Stefanski to start him over Tua and Michael Penix Jr.? They play the Dolphins in week 3 of the preseason. I don't know how much more we could see for Jack Strand to see that if he wins this starting job. I tell you one thing, because Tua looked so lost in that game against Denver, I'm wondering why he didn't even play in this game against the Colts. If there's even a remote thought that Tua should be the starting quarterback and we should have confidence in Tua before he gets benched if he has a terrible game again, he needs to get some playing time against the Miami Dolphins. Now, I know that week 3 of the preseason, you're not playing starters. You're not even playing second-string guys. You're playing third and fourth-string guys. You're playing guys trying to make the 53-man roster. But I can't wait for the season to start, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. And who is the starting quarterback going to be? Is it going to be Jack Strand or is it going to be Tua? I don't think Michael Penix Jr. is going to be ready. I do know one thing. Jack Strand earned the right to be the third-string quarterback the way he played. It's not a knock on Cooper Rush. He was better than Cooper Rush. They posted a video of Jack Strand where he kind of reminds us of Matt Ryan. And I know it's far-fetched. We're reaching because we're optimistic. We want fingers crossed that we found our franchise quarterback. We found a hidden gem, just like the 49ers when they found Brock Purdy is Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah, I get it. I get all of that. But anyway, NFL preseason, as a 49ers fan, I'm excited to announce, although I hate to see him go, but Zamir White, the former Georgia running back that helped them win a national championship, was briefly with the 49ers after the Raiders let him go to the 49ers. But unfortunately, they've traded Zamir White to the Saints for veteran linebacker Deion Jones. Now, if you don't know who Deion Jones is, remember when he came in as a rookie, 2016, he was the middle linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons, and he had some success. In fact, if you look at his career, before he got hurt, he actually was off to become possibly an all-pro. 2016 really was his breakout year. The middle linebacker from LSU. He was just a do-it-all running middle linebacker. And I was really impressed as I'm trying to look up his stats real quick because, look, he's still young, but, he has been injury prone. He is coming into this season, he's going to be 32 years old. But still, I think that if he is vintage Deion Jones, the guy in his rookie season that had 108 tackles, and then in his second year, he ended up having 138 tackles. If he's anything like he was with his time with the Falcons, the 49ers got a gem. They got another linebacker to complement Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. So I don't know what type of player you're going to get with Deion Jones. I don't even know if he's going to ever be exactly what he was. He did make the Pro Bowl in 2017. That was when that Falcons defense was rolling. And I think Mark Quan he actually replaced Richard Smith, who was the defensive coordinator in 2016, and rightfully so. I mean, you blow a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl, you're not going to be lasting very long. But hey, great pickup for the 49ers getting Deion Jones. All right, let's switch some gears. Let's talk Columbus Cleanstones real quick because they ended up taking 4 out of 6 against the Montgomery Biscuits, and it was a good series for the Cleanstones. Look, they're trying to make a postseason push. They're 5.5 back of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, which they play for 6 more games later on in the season. They get ready to take on the Chattanooga Lookouts for a 6-game series on the road. Then it's back at Synovus Park, not this week, but next week, taking on Pensacola for a 6-game series. And then they put a bow on year 2, taking on the Montgomery Biscuits on the road. And it's been a successful year 2. I know the attendance has been down a little bit from year 1. Still great attendance, 2,000, 3,000 fans at Synovus Park, even on a random Tuesday night. It's been a huge success, and I can't wait for year 3. This has been fun covering this team, having media credentials, and I love the atmosphere. I love going up into the Aflac Club in those air conditioning seats and eating the ballpark food and just enjoying watching the games on TV and just lounging and just talking to people. I love the all-you-can-eat seats down the first and third base line, which I've sat at both places, and it was great just to kick back in those like chairs right on the edge of the field and talking to the players, seeing foul balls get over there and have the kids just running and the kids are like playing, like, even though on the opposite side, they have the wiffle ball field. On the opposite side, the kids trying to simulate their own wiffle ball field. It was a lot of fun. I've enjoyed the Columbus Cleanstones. I've enjoyed my time, just covering the Columbus Cleanstones. Real quick, college football. Can you believe it's here? It is finally here. Week 0 of college football. I am so excited. There are some games that I really want to see. TCU, North Carolina starts things off. You got Memphis and UNLV. I don't know if I'm going to stay up late to watch that. But you have USC taking on San Jose State. I tell you, I know that it's an appetizer for week 1 because week 1 is going to be fantastic. But we had our final weekend before college football. It's really going to take off. This is like one of those weeks where we periodically will have some college football games. I'm excited. We do have some college football news. Keelan Russell has been named the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama. Now, Alabama opens up with East Carolina. They went to the college football playoff last year, but their last 2 years, they've had 4 losses under Kalen DeBoer. And I know, and this is the one thing about Alabama, when I do my reels and I cut up my segments, I get a ton of views anytime I talk about Alabama football. So all I got to say to the people that have been watching me, keep them coming, because I could talk Alabama football with the best of them. I do think Keelan Russell is a talented quarterback, but is he going to completely change the game like Jalen Milroe used to? There were times like on a 3rd and long, Jalen Milroe would find a way to pick up the first down. I didn't really felt that way with Ty Simpson. I know Ty Simpson's a very good quarterback, but he wasn't a game changer last year. Jalen Milroe was a game changer. Jalen Hurts was a game changer. Tua Tagovailoa could sling the football. Mac Jones was a very efficient quarterback, and that 2020 team was stacked in a COVID year. Bryce Young never won a national championship with Alabama, but he did win a Heisman. Is Keelan Russell the guy? I'm curious to see if he is. And Alabama does have a slightly tough schedule. There are some games that could be slip-ups, but we'll see how the Alabama Crimson Tide will handle Keelan Russell. Austin Mack is still the backup. I don't know if Keelan Russell struggles, if they're going to go to Austin Mack, but Keelan Russell has a pretty good receiver in Ryan Coleman Williams, formerly known as Ryan Williams, who was an electric 17-year-old a couple years ago. But yeah, it's been a fun season just covering college football, and I'm excited that I get to cover it now because, hey, let's go and switch gears. Let's talk Columbus State. The Columbus State Cougars soccer team, well, they're going to be in action August the 27th, 7 p.m. against Florida Southern. This is a team led by Coach Jay Entlick. I've had the privilege of calling Columbus State soccer 2022 and 2023. Great players like Emma Badeau, Sarah Hungerford, obviously Olivia Jarrell, who just got inducted into the CSU Hall of Fame last year, one of the prolific goal scorers in Columbus State soccer history. If you have not been to a Columbus State soccer game at the Walton Soccer Complex, it is fantastic. In fact, Andrew Rubin and I actually called a game together in 2023. Didn't even know each other, but it's kind of a full circle moment when we were both on the call for Chaco this Friday night. And I made a joke on the broadcast. Andrew, this is not our first game calling a game together. We called a CSU soccer game together in 2023, and we laughed about it. It was fun. But this team has had history going to the Final Four in 2022. I remember I was on the call for that elite game saying, and Columbus State is going to the Final Four. I got to find that and try to find that for my highlight reel. And then in 2024, they go back to the Final Four, but they have not won a championship. They got close in 2015, but if there's anything about a guy like Coach Jay Entlick, he knows how to get soccer talent to Columbus State. And I wish them the best of luck. August the 27th, 7 o'clock. It's going to be at the Walton Soccer Complex. I'll be on the campus at Columbus State for a kickoff for a cause, which will be at the Cunningham Center. Kim Rozicki and the Twin Cedars Foundation, they do a great job with that. DJ Jones, Dave Plata will be emceeing, and I will be the sideline reporter and producer for that. All right. From CSU to LaGrange. The LaGrange Panthers, they will open up their season against Point University at Callaway Stadium. This team got to the second round of the NCAA Division III playoffs last year. Fantastic year for the Panthers. I want to cover more LaGrange athletics on this podcast. You know why? Because nobody's doing it. You tell me who's – look, I've had Antoine Prather on. I need to get him back on as a guest. He was very involved with LaGrange College. But he was a guest on when I was talking LaGrange athletics. But yeah, 7:30 kickoff. That's going to be like that week one of college football. I know there's going to be a lot of college football games going on. I don't want to overlook this game. I want to try to find a way to get there because this is a big game for the city, for the community of West Point and LaGrange, and for Troup County. West Point is right there. Point University is there in West Point. LaGrange is right there at LaGrange College. I'm definitely going to be talking about this game with Kevin Eckleberry when he comes on the show on Wednesday. And then LaGrange College will take on Berry College. Their first USA South game is October the 3rd against North Carolina Wesleyan. So good luck to the LaGrange Panthers, and good luck to Point University. They're also a local team. You know, I definitely want to follow them and see what they do. All right, let's go and take another break. And we come back. I will go into the vault, a moment in time. Let's break it down. The 2011 Philadelphia Eagles Dream Team. We're going to talk about that season. You don't want to go anywhere. It's a Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Back after this. We're back here on the Sports Beat. It is a Monday. And don't forget, you can catch this every Sunday night on WQVZ Mission Radio. I tell you, we have hit the ground running. I've been a guest on Rod Peterson's show. He's been a guest on my show. An old broadcasting colleague of mine, which we've had our differences, and we're two different people. But Corey Bank reached out to me, and I was civil to him. I mean, the bottom line is we worked together for 1 year. It was what it was. I mean, it was a situation where we got thrown on a broadcast, but I try to make positive of everything, and he was a frequent guest on the show, and it was nice just to catch up with him. But we kind of went our separate paths, and sometimes that happens. But yeah, it was nice to have him reach out to me. All right, let's go into my segment, the Sports Vault. A moment in time. I love this segment because I'm a nostalgia type of guy, and I really wanted to pick apart one of the biggest hypes in NFL history that just didn't quite work out. And I'm sorry to do this, Eagles fans. I'm going to break down the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles. So this team got so much hype when Vince Young took the podium, and he just said two words: Dream Team. From that moment, the Eagles, who ended up signing Nnamdi Asomugha, who was an all-pro corner with the Raiders, they signed Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. They signed Jason Babin. They already had Michael Vick. They already had LaShawn McCoy, Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson. This team was loaded. There was a lot of hype for the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles. Marty Morningwing was the offensive coordinator. Juan Castillo was the defensive coordinator, and it was led by Andy Reid. And I honestly think that Andy Reid going 4-12 the following year is the reason why he got fired. And because of the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles, there's a reason why now he's with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, and they won 3 Super Bowl titles. With that being said, this team, hot out the gate, they beat the Rams. They go 1-4. They lose to the Falcons in a game they had. They had this game on Monday Night Football. On Sunday Night Football, rather. I remember watching this game in 2011 where it was the return of Michael Vick, and they hyped this game up. Michael Vick gets hurt. The Falcons end up coming back and winning this game. And then they lose to the Giants. The Giants won the Super Bowl that year. They lose to the 49ers 24-23. This was a game where they were up big on the 49ers. And then Justice Smith gets a turnover, and they were up 23-3. And the 49ers, Josh Morgan, 30-yard pass from Alex Smith, Vernon Davis. And then they get a fumble. Frank Gore puts it in. And then I think this was the upset that not only put the 49ers on the map, it really turned the Philadelphia Eagles season around, because then they had to take on Buffalo. They lose to the Buffalo Bills to go 1-4. This was a team that was 4-8, and then they woke up and said, "Hey, we are not a 4-8 team," and they ended up winning 4 straight. But it was against talent that wasn't very good, and the Eagles, they go 8-8. This was supposed to be an all-time team. What happened? Why did they go 8-8? Well, I think that you have a guy like Vince Young, which, by the way, I want to see that untold Netflix documentary on Vince Young, and I hope they include the Dream Team, because that really was his legacy when he took he wasn't even the starter. He was the backup quarterback, and he just comes out and says Dream Team. You put all that pressure and all that hype on this team, but you have to still play the games on the field. And I really, really did not like the fact that Juan Castillo was, an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. I mean, he was an offensive line coach. He was a defensive coordinator. Look, here's the thing. He was the offensive line coach from 98 to 2010. Turns around and becomes a defensive coordinator. It doesn't work that way. Matt Patricia can't be the offensive coordinator and call plays. It just did not work. They had a disaster of a season in 2012, and then Andy Reid gets fired. I'm sorry, but look, I know that We have egos in this business. It's like, oh, I know offense and defense. No, but it's different. You can't just turn around and be an offensive line coach and switch to being the defensive coordinator. And the Eagles had stars on defense. Jason Babin did make the Pro Bowl, but it just didn't pan out. And it was probably the most hyped team of all time. And I just wanted to make a segment on this because, it was bad. All right, that's our show. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube and Facebook channel. I'm also found on Instagram. I'm found on TikTok. I'm found on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Stay tuned for Wednesday's show. Kevin Eckelberry from BTV Sports is coming on the show. What a great show. What a great time to be alive. What a great time to be a sports fan. Don't forget, I got some exciting news on Friday, so I'm going to share that with you on Friday's show. Have a great time and enjoy the rest of your day. Phenix City Little League is coming up in about an hour. I'm going to hightail it over to some sports bar or Dave & Buster's or something to watch that game between Phenix City Little League and Westchester, Pennsylvania. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We will see you next time.
Thank you for watching The Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. You can catch new episodes on Facebook and YouTube every Monday and Wednesday night at 5 p.m. The Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge is a local podcast that covers sports in Columbus, Georgia.